You are listening to the Geulah River podcast.
מי מחזיק את האמת ביד ומי מחליט שהוא הכאן נכון והצודק? מי נתן לנו את הבחירה לחיות ולהיות בצד שמחפש אמת?
Welcome to another episode of the Geulah River podcast. I'm very excited to have you tonight with us, Rabbi Sholom, meir, Holtzkaners, from Lauderdale, Florida. He's going to share with us exciting journey, how he ended up on yidishkeit, and his new app that he made that's taking over the world, Unity Box. We'll get into that soon. Shalom, if you could take us to the beginning, how did you grow up? What was your practice of Bible?
So I grew up in New York City, and I went to basically modern Jewish school, like Manhattan Day School, MTA, University. My family wasn't particularly religious, so we didn't have like the upbringing. My earlier days, my father said we went to public school originally. My father asked me what I had for breakfast, and I told him what we had for breakfast over there. And he's like, "Okay, we don't eat that in our house." And he's like, he pulled me out, and luckily he was able to get me into this Manhattan Day School, which was this modern Orthodox school. Rabbi Riskin from Efrat actually was the principal at the time, and or actually it was Rabbi Rafin, and later on it was Rabbi Riskin. But anyway, so I grew up in this, modern Orthodox world in, a place called Chelsea in New York City, which had a very small Jewish Orthodox population. So that was where I grew up, and then I went to MTA, which was the Yeshiva University High School, and I did a little bit of Yeshiva in Israel, and then I basically went to Queens College, became a stockbroker, and fell off the tracks.
Like, which tracks were you on in the first place?
Good question. Yes, I would say growing up, we definitely kept Shabbos to a degree. I mean, different times, depending upon as I got older, meaning after bar mitzvah. So I was already understanding what was going on. When we were smaller, no. But yeah, and then I don't know if I put on tefillin, after my year in Israel, I came back, everybody gets religious officially, and then it just basically fell apart. So I just don't have the infrastructure. I didn't really get much out of yeshivas. I didn't feel a connection at all with the learning or with the teachers. So actually, my year in Israel, I had a Rabbi Benny Eisner. He was the rabbi in my yeshiva, and he spoke Hebrew, I spoke English, so we didn't really have a great communication, but he actually started making me feel like a little spiritual. So I had that, and then I went to college and I became a stockbroker, and then I had a business down here, and I moved down here to go into business. But my friend said to me, "Ray, I'm going to this Chabad," and I'm like, "What is that? What is that?" And maybe I knew what it was, but I didn't really. I'd never been to a Chabad shul, and I started going, and it was Rabbi Korf, Yossi Korf, and I liked it. It was real, so it took off. So my stockbroker days, when I was probably 21, 21, I dropped out of college, and I found some jobs, otherwise cold calling, or I worked for Drexel Burnham, different brokerage firms, and I met another guy who basically took me in, sponsored me for the test. I took the test, and it was not a very. I mean, it was like a very. It was a high paced career. So we made money, and we gambled money. We lost money, and primarily gambled.
The gamble was part of the business?
No, it's just a lifestyle. We were actually, we had a house in the Hamptons. We lived across the street from this. It's like a famous guy now. I didn't realize how famous he was at the time. The Jordan Belfort guy, and he owned a brokerage firm, a very famous brokerage firm, and I didn't really know. I just knew that he was like a famous guy because he had this company called Stratton Oakmont, and basically their brokers were they were like very like soldiers, and so I knew of him because a few of his brokers would come work at the firm that I was at. And that was it. So that I worked there for a few, for X amount of years, and that really didn't go well. It wasn't my lifestyle. It wasn't, what I wanted to do. I had a beauty salon in New York City, which again, that was not something that I could do, long term. And I had bought into down here that made clothing for nursing homes. So I came down here, and then that's where my best friend actually, still today, he's like a going to Chabad, and he introduced me, and we started going. It wasn't right away that we turned it over, but I do remember it was interesting that the rabbi over there would always tell me when he was praying, he would always say like, Mashiach is coming, and you want to be the shluchim are going to be in the front lines. So I was always joking around. I'm like, oh, Arthur, it sounds pretty good. Mashiach's going to come. I mean, we started getting into it. Like, okay, we should, maybe we want to do this. And I didn't realize later on I actually bought that line.
If you do stuff in your honor, I guess that's
So actually, it's very interesting that when she got sick, my father had been sick for several years prior to that, and they were putting him in the hospice. And this was, I don't know if it was my earlier days. It must have been, I'm a Chabadski now for, let's say, since 96. So I think I'm going to call it 28 years. And that was 17 years ago. So it was 10 years into the program. And I remember, I always had this like very strong belief, like, you write a letter to the Rebbe and like everything's going to work out. And when they told me my father's to go in the hospice, I didn't really even know what hospice was. So it's like a place that people go, Chas Shalom, it's not, not many people come out. But like when my father went in and they're like, listen, your father, you got to start writing papers together. I was like, no, I'm a Chabad Chassid, don't worry about it. It's getting out of here soon. And I was just like, and my father actually got out of the hospice 3 times.
really.
Yeah, my father got out of the hospice. I remember the first time I was in there, I'm like, okay, Tatala, as soon as we're out of here, or even now, we're going to start putting on tefillin every day. And he said, okay, and my father put on tefillin for the last X amount of years of his life. My brother-in-law, I remember Meir would go over, put tefillin on him, and yeah, I remember my father put on tefillin the last years of his life for sure. As a matter of fact, I have my father's tefillin that I just got back. I had lent them. I had an Uber driver, I think, and basically the Uber driver came to he picked me up, and he came to my. I found him was Jewish. I came into my house, and I gave him. I didn't have any other tefillin. Like usually, I have 2, 3, 4 pairs of tefillin. The only pair of tefillin I have is my father. He said, "I'll put them on." Takes the tefillin, and for years, I'm trying to get back my father's tefillin. And just mamish, like a few days ago, maybe a few weeks ago, we gave me back my tefillin. And this past Sunday, by Lag BaOmer, we had a pulla, and I used my father's tefillin to put on tefillin with a bunch of young professionals again. So I was very happy about that.
If you get into the Unity box, the app we made in one of for listeners to explain to them what's
Sure.
Unity box.
So basically, in young Jewish professional shlichus, and I'm sure it's like that in any shlichus, our goal is to ultimately to bring people to Hashem, right? And the way we do that is by doing mitzvahs with them. The Rebbe said, I've heard it. I don't know, I've said it many times, but the Rebbe said that not to have the conversations with people, but to do mitzvahs with them, to learn with them, to do mitzvahs. You're not going to make them with convincing arguments. And the way it works is right. You go out, you meet somebody, of all of us, and you go, you talk to them, try to put tefillin on with them, and you try and get them to do mitzvahs. The problem is like when you go to somebody's office every other week, so you go there and they're like, okay, well, what are you doing? So I'd like to put tefillin with you. So they're like, why would I want to put on tefillin? I'm like, yeah, you're Jewish. And you have that whole conversation with them. And finally, after 45 minutes, and then you put the tefillin on with the guy, and it's great. You get a picture, you get the hug, and you leave. And you come back 2 weeks later, a week later, and it's like, what are we doing now? And it's like, I don't want to put on tefillin again. You just feel like you got to go through this whole, discussion again, this whole convincing argument, and it's draining. It really is. It's not an easy. It's not easy. when you have a shul and people come to your shul, it's much, they're coming to your shul. You have much more leeway with them. It's much easier. When you go to somebody's office and it's young professionals and trying to just make their way in the world, a little more difficult. Anyway, so I was like, I wanted to create something that the person could continuously do mitzvahs. And then when I come back there, it's like, oh, I'm 20 mitzvahs in I got 20 mitzvahs since you've been here, Rabbi, and let me, sure, I'll do whatever it is because, they already feel just like it was with me, right? You just keep on doing mitzvahs and just mitzvah gereres mitzvah. So I came up with this electronic. I showed it to you before. Wish we had one here, but it's an electronic charity box. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just. I'll make these electronic charity boxes. How much could it be? First, I didn't have any money. Very few times in my shlichus did I really have, like money to do anything. So it's been like definitely a financially challenging shlichus career for me. And my family for that matter. But so I said, but I can make this box, and how much could it be? I didn't have any money. I had a few $1,000s in my bank account probably at the time. Say, okay, I have $5,000. I'll put $2,000 into this. I'll make them, and I'll put them out there. And also, I also felt like once the box got out there, so the way the box works is basically it counts every time you put a coin in, it counts how much money that coin is, but it also counts how many mitzvahs were done by the person and how many mitzvahs were done around the world.
It's like each coin you put in the
Brooklyn, right. So that's something that I would love to get into. We should definitely put that on the side burner for now. But the protov it's a reps of cheshbon gadol is something which is, I definitely want to address that. But the idea of the pushka is that every day they put the coin in and they know that they did a mitzvah for the day. I know they did a mitzvah for the day. I can call them. I can communicate with them through that, through that action. And that's what I thought. I thought I'd make them hundreds of thousands of dollars later. And just agmas nefesh like you would not believe. I mean, literally, thank God for the sikha that the Rebbe, brought out. Unbelievable sikha. Ben Hey Omer Lefun Tzara Agro. It is literally, it'll make any human being that is putting in effort to do mitzvahs and not seeing a result. That sikha is literally the magnum opus. It's the most important thing that they should read because it literally gives value to all of the unrevealed, effort and toil and pain that somebody's been through. Parenthetically, by the way, so this is a great story. When I was a child, the camp that the Jewish Federation would send you to was a camp called Magen Avraham. So I was in like this the Federation. They were helping out my family, and they sent me to this camp, Magen Avraham. And in the camp, basically they would have this Mishnayos Baal Peh. And the way Mishnayos Baal Peh would work back then would be you would learn a Mishnah and you would take a piece of paper, you go over to the counselors and they would sign off that you knew the Mishnah. I was like a little kid, maybe I think it was like 8 years old, 9 years old, whatever it was. I learned the Mishnah, but hey, and it's the only Mishnah I knew. Maybe I knew benching, a piece of benching, so I'd go get that sign. And I'd go around to each counselor, saying literally cheating. And I came in I think second or third place. So like you can imagine, and the winner, for this is some huge Talmid Chacham, right? And I'm like, and in second place is Sholom Holtzkaner, this little, it's just I don't even know how I came. It's like I have a sefer till today. It's called yidishkeit. It's like something like that. I think it's called. But till today I have that. Now I told my wife the story. And my wife, there's the Likutei Sichos project. Unbelievable, right? The most incredible, it's like an app. And they literally have so many different rabbis to listen to the sichos from. It's an unbelievable project. And my wife heard that sikha, and she's like, Sholom Meir, you gotta listen to this story. It will, and it literally, like till today, like I will always like just resource it as as inspiration for myself. But we were talking about something before that. So basically the pushka, I had 2,000, 3,000, whatever it was to get this project done. How am I going to come up with this? Like, I don't know any engineers. I didn't even know what an engineer was. So I went to this thing called Upwork. And whoever's watching this video, if they know what Upwork is, they're probably cracking up. They're like keeled over in their seat right now because they understand, like, Upwork's like literally, it's like hitting a lotto if you find somebody that doesn't destroy your project. So I found a guy who's in China, and he had the best, he said he could do it. I forgot what the number he told me he could do it for a few $1,000s. And I could never get it to work. I'd have to like literally, I was like, he sent me one of the prototypes, which I was like so happy when I finally got it, but it never worked. And I have to like, he would say it was the Wi-Fi, and then I'd have to go to Starbucks or all these different places to find like other Wi-Fi's. Hush, it never, ever, ever worked. It was always just, it was a nightmare. Couldn't get it to production, and had some other problems with him. And I don't know how many years later, I finally went into production. I just pushed it through, and I made like 1,000 boxes. If I tell you 900 of them went in the garbage, I'm talking about like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's unbearable to just to think about it. And I'm like, I always say, like, why would, everybody does fullest, everybody does, buildings, like gets people to say, here, what did I want to do? I wanted to teach people about to get excited about the stock, to teach people about it. And gosh, the whole thing fell apart. Like, I mean, I rebuilt it and reworked it, and now you're talking about even it's several years after that as well. So we're about to go back into production, with a new, revised Gen, I don't know what number it is, but Gen 3, 4, 5, whatever number it is. But that was the idea is for me to bring these boxes to Malabat, and for them to, put a coin in and just, have them do mitzvahs when I come back. That's the way it started.
So clearly did invest, like you kept investing over and over. Like I'm trying to understand, was 3,000 at a time?
Yeah, so basically the way it was like what do they say, throwing good money after bad money. It was like a money pit. I mean, till
You kept
today.
investing in this.
Till today, yeah, till today. Every month I'm shelling out a fortune of money for it.
So at that point, so far so good. Like your business was going good. You're just going to the lot casually and like eventually getting involved.
My business was not going. That particular business was not going good. That was. I mean, I've been in several businesses. That particular business was not going great. And then I got into another business, which was a medical uniform company, which did better for X amount of years. But it was at the tail end of. It was actually at the beginning of that uniform company that I decided to start keeping Shabbos and kosher. And I remember that I grew my beard. It was interesting, like just the way I work. So my father's a survivor from Dachau. And like shaving beards, like it always, like, I don't know, it just didn't resonate well with me. And I don't know why, I grew a beard. I was not kosher, and it was keeping Shabbos, but I grew a beard. And I remember I was still eating unkosher. So like, when I wasn't, when I was, when I wasn't going to a non-kosher restaurant, I'd have my yarmulke on. But then when I go in there and I have to like do this whole flip, take the yarmulke off, put on a base one, whatever it was that I was doing at the time. And it got uncomfortable. And then when I started getting religious, I remember like, we were going to bowling. I remember going bowling with my friends, and some of the food wasn't kosher, and like they would put their fingers, with the tray of food into the bowls, into the bowling bowl. I was like, I'm not bowling with you guys. I can't go bowling like that. So
Must be very hard. Must be hard. Until today, I guess, yeah. So what made you just slow, just a gradual process of just like meaning in life? What was like the inspiration to get involved? Just
so I did have this conversation. I did. I wasn't 100%. I mean, nobody's discussed God with me. It wasn't like it's funny. Like in all the years I went to yeshivas and with all the rabbis I was around, nobody asked me like, "Do you believe in God? Do you understand God? Like, how do you know that God exists?" There was no God questions. It's a chumash, Gemara, whatever it was. But the question about the existence of God and really to just solidify that process in my mind, through talking it out. I remember Rabbi Kaplan once told me. He said that says that articulation crystallizes one's thoughts, and that's like something that I always try and teach my children and people that I deal with. And that is that you got to talk things out. You got to really hear your position and make things clear in life. And the idea that there was a God was never. Yeah, I thought that there was a God, but I never really articulated it. Never, went back and forth and really came to the conclusion that there was a God. So I did have that conversation with somebody, which definitely helped, influence me just, intellectually or logically. And then also just the beard, and just I couldn't back out. I wasn't shaving. My friends were making fun of me because I was like the least religious guy, and they're like, "What are you going to grow a beard? You're going to become a chassid?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not shaving my beard. So that was really once I had the beard, there was no turning back.
it's not before you get married. I'm assuming.
Yes, I got married when I was 33 or 33 years old. So
And you plan going to Shlichus right away. That was like
no,
the automatic.
no. So at that time, I was in business. I was doing well, and there was no plan of shlichus whatsoever. But once I got married, I don't know what happened. My business started going down pretty quickly, actually. And and then after several years of I don't remember the exact amount of years, but after several years of marriage and losing a fortune of money, and then I had my daughter. We had waited 5 years. We didn't wait 5 years, but it took us 5 years to have children. And basically, after the 5th year, we finally had twins, and we had two girls, and one of them had trisomy 18, which is like basically it's like an acute version of Down syndrome. But anyway, so at that exact time, I had lost my business and I lost my child, and it was a tough time, tough time.
So then, so how did that proceed? What's came out of that?
So basically, first, there's a lot going on by me. There was number one is that I really felt like I knew my business well.
It's the stock business, which
This is a uniform. So I had retail stores. One in Houston, Texas. I used to go see Rabbi Lazaroff over there. I had one in Petersburg, in Florida, and one in Fort Lauderdale. And I had a manufacturing. So I mean, it was doing well. And once I got married, like very quickly things started to turn around. And after several, maybe a year, 2 years of just losing money, I just couldn't keep it together anymore. And while I was in business, beforehand, so we were married 5 years, I wanted to go in shlichus. Um, not full time, but like a Shabbos concept. We went out to Fort Myers to Rabbi Minkowitz to interview there. We went out to a place called I forget what here by Rabbi Tenenhouse in St. Louis West. I forgot the name of the place. I still don't think there's a shliach there till today. But anyway, so when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I couldn't. So my business, I went a business, and to go back into the same business at that point was just, I mentally couldn't do it. I mentally couldn't go back into the same business that I knew I knew like the back of my hand. There was no reason I should have went out of business. I don't know why like in other words, I was just losing money every month. Inventory went missing like miraculous, like insanity. Like I had non-Jews working for me. I hired Jewish people. We were counting everything and could not figure out, where the losses were coming from, to the point where I had to shut it down, and it just didn't make sense to me to go right back into that business.
So once you have money anyways, might as well come.
I mean, at that point, I was just like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So the shlichus opportunity opened up, and I said, I'll do it. And maybe 16 years later.
Wow. You still had any connection with those other businesses, or it's fully behind you? All those.
All behind me right now. Every now and then, when fundraising is tough, I always think about going back into business or doing something, and I write a letter to the Rebbe, and I'm like, please don't allow me to get back, involved with widgets again. When you're doing, spending your whole day like speaking to people about things that are so important. It's like to get back and to start manufacturing clothing or whatever it's going to be. It just seems so. Listen, I mean, it's important for the world. It's part of the way the world works. But once you tasted, doing avodas kodesh, it's hard to go back.
Yeah. Zoom in for a minute just about how do you deal with the Muna thing? Like when you said you had children for 5 years, then and you had one healthy baby and one not healthy baby. So how do the joy and the loss like coexist? How do you figure out the Muna piece?
We're trying to keep people religious here, right? That's the idea. We want people to stay religious here. Listen, I live with Chayvus Levava still today. I guess until I lost my child, like you always think like, first of all, I don't know. I'm trying to think like, right. So I had no death in my life. Like I lost my father after I lost my daughter. So the first person I ever lost in my life, was my daughter. And
How was she?
she was 4.5 months old. Um, and it's like when your business goes down or you lose your business, that's brutal. And even having a sick child is brutal. But like I felt like it was like a little bit much. Like losing a child. It was like it was like I took it a little personally. But there were great stories. And you hear stories about holy neshamas that come to the world and they are entrusted, with families, and I believe that. I mean, that's what I believe. So, I mean, listen, we have what to stay strong with. Every month, I would put together whatever I could put together, and kept on making it better and better. I mean, now Baruch Hashem, it's the I'm saying, of where we are now. I'm saying we have. I mean, so we had one program that Rabbi Garani started called Kapitel and Goin, where he bought the largest chunk of boxes, and he put them into like almost every Lubavitch school, and a lot of them broke. So we're hopefully re-gearing up. But basically, the concept is that the Rebbe said in the Sichon Chayil that when you say Tehillim, you should give a coin to Stalin. Okay, so he heard that Sikha or heard about it. It wasn't very popular, I guess, at the time. So that's what he did. He put all these boxes and he raised money in order to give the schools the money. So when the kid puts the nickel in, and they say the Tehillim, so the school would get that money, raise money for the schools. And Baruch Hashem, I mean, I didn't look. He probably has hundreds of thousands of mitzvahs that he's done in that, piece of of this whole platform that we've done. But that's the goal. The goal is that not only should every Jewish kid be giving stock every day, but every non-Jewish child should be giving stock every day. In other words, it's incumbent upon us, I'm saying, to make sure that everybody's giving stock every day. And this is a way to basically to gather everybody, to aggregate the whole, all of the efforts.
So Bill, right now the boxes went through, like, did it work out at the end of the actual boxes?
There's still many boxes that are working right now, but I would say 90% of them, would be considered full, broke. First of all, we had a problem with this with the spring. There's a spring in there, which basically is the mechanism which it measures the coin, and when it measures the coin, so it tells you what size the coin is. Great. So if you want to do 100 coins a year, 1,000 coins a year, no problem. You got 20 kids, a day. So it's times 20. You have 400 mitzvahs a month. Let's say 400 coins a month plus times 10. So now you have 4,000 or 5,000. So the use, it was too much for the spring. So a lot of the springs broke. And then we had another problem with the Wi-Fi. So we fixed everything. And that's Hashem. The next box will be there. I can tell you, my Mashpia always tells me, he says, wherever there's Kedusha, there's going to be a Geulah.
To be what?
Wherever there's Kedusha, there has to be Mayanas, yeah, like opposite.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So, I'm saying, there's a lot of pushback, I'm saying, from that perspective. And that's where we're going with the pushka. Listen, I'd like for it to go into houses as well. Baruch Hashem, it is in several houses where people use it, but it needs to get out there. Really, it needs to work is the main thing. I believe if it was working, we would have, I don't know how many thousands of boxes. Listen, how many? First of all, the whole Indian Pruta needs to be clarified. So maybe we can go into that.
Okay.
So in general, right, the idea of Pruta is that, and you look at the Mishnah, right? It means that coin by coin, Pruta is gathered, or that was how long was that? Like an hour?
I have no idea.
That's interesting. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's cool. You get the world over here.
Amazing. All right. Accumulated l'cheshvan gadol, to a great, accounting. So what does that mean? It means that if you have a pushka, right, and you put a nickel in, you put another nickel in, then at the end of the month, when you get $10, that's a cheshvan gadol compared to the nickels you put in. What do I need? What, I wouldn't have known that. Like, so what's the whole?
Yeah.
What's the concept? So there's I mean, the tzedek as a minor, and in the minor it goes over it, but it's also when it goes to Kodesh chapter 21. But the idea is like this: that when you give, every time you give tzedakah, so you're making a connection with the hipster in the world. It's a mitzvah. Now, when you give, let's say, in Kabbalah, it says when you give 90 cents or you give $1, so 100 to 90 cents. The light that you get from giving $1 is be'ein to the 90 cents. And the same thing when you give $9 versus $10, it's be'ein. And you give $99 and $100, it's be'ein. $999 to $1,000 be'ein, and so on and so forth, right? So somebody would think to themselves, okay, I'm a rich guy. I'm about to give $1,000. Right? Now what am I going to do? I'm going to give $1 every day. And I'm going to get a lot of mitzvahs, but I'm not going to get the Or Gadol. So let me just give the big amount once, one time, and then I'm going to get the Or Gadol. Because anyway, nobody can write the check for, if I'm writing a check for $1 million or right, then not many people can write that check. That or Godel from $1 million, who can write that? Right? Say with $100,000 check, a $10,000 check, a $1,000 check, right? So whoever gets the honor to write that check. So they're going to think to themselves, let me get that or Godel. So comes the Mashiach tell you, it says, no, each one of the mitzvahs that you do is a mitzvah, and it's mitzvah cheshbon gadol. You get the cheshbon gadol as well. And if you look in the meir over there, which is an unbelievable point, according to one of the farshim, it says that not you get the cheshbon gadol on each. It's not that you get a small mitzvah every time and then you get the cheshbon gadol. According to one of the farshim, you actually get the cheshbon gadol on each and every mitzvah that you do. So this is something that, listen, the Rebbe said, right, not too long ago, right? He did everything he could do, and now it's up to us. I've always been like, a little bit like, I hear something and I believe it. I'm Moroccan, half Moroccan, and I come from the Holtzkaners family, where I don't know what you want to say about it. It's where we're emotional people. And you hear something, the Rebbe says so, it's gotta be. So I remember I was the first one, in the shul to grow a beard, and that was the first. I heard Shabbos and Varchim say Tehillim. Wherever I went, I was always making sure that everybody's coming to shul and saying Tehillim, tzibur. And here we have an opportunity, we have to do something to bring Mashiach. So one of the things that I was thinking of is that with these pushkas, I remember when I didn't know what Lubavitch was per se, but I remember seeing guys, when I would see with the what do you call those, with the beepers. I remember before Gimel Tammuz, so I'm saying people were like, what is that? Oh, Mashiach's coming any minute, right? And that feeling that I was like, okay, listen, if we can get to putting these pushkas all around and everybody sees them, wherever you go into every store, you're going to see a pushka. You're going to go into houses and you're going to see the numbers going up and up and up. And everybody's going to realize we're going to be doing millions, hundreds, tens of millions of mitzvahs. Mashiach's for sure going to come. All right, that's Geulah. I mean, it's obvious. It's everybody believes in it. So I thought that for sure everybody was going to go. It wasn't quite such the buy-in. The buy-in wasn't quite exactly like that, to say the least. But we're going to get it. We're going to get it. We're not going to.
So did that evolve to the app?
Yeah. So exactly. So so basically the pushka was very difficult, and it still is. I'm not giving up on it yet. I mean, this is I feel like it's my last hurrah, and I got to come up with now. I got to come up with $25,000, to basically make these last, pushkas that I'm going to make. So I'm making more pushkas for a few different schools and projects that I'm working on. And then, so what happened is then the app came out, right? And I realized that, that this is the way nobody carries cash with them anymore. Well, when I started, we were still using, gold coins. All of a sudden, at the mall, nobody carries any coins or any cash with them anymore. So, people take an app, and that's really where I came up with with the app. And I came out with an app long before everybody. I'm just I wasn't marketing right. There's daily giving, which is they marketed it right. And Kol Hamad came out with a pushka app. I mean, I was out there, far before these, before anybody, but I didn't market it right. But I worked on the technology, and the one thing that we have, which is brought us right now, we're at 257 million mitzvahs.
Wow.
Right, so 257 million mitzvahs. Right?
How many years is this? How many years ago is this?
It's a lot of years. I mean, it's got to be, I don't know, 2-3 years, just with the app. But I'm saying the pushka's been out, But the way we got there is, something which I need to push, and I'm going to have that discussion with you, and hopefully figure out, which Rabbanim I can, get on board. So basically, the idea is like this, that when you push the button, how is it a mitzvah? When you have an app, right? And you push a button, how is that a mitzvah?
If you push the app with your finger, it's not nice, you know.
But you're pledging money. Technish.
You can take, so you can't take it back. Once you put it, you can take it back. Is that like
Right. So in general, no, right? So hektish, once you make something hektish, you can't take it back.
So the app doesn't work that once you put it, you can't take it back. Is that the way that happens?
Correct. Like if you pledge money in a shul, right? You come to shul on Shabbos, you pledge the money. You owe the money. So it's very interesting with stock in general that this is the only mitzvah that I know of that when you make the pledge, the mitzvah is consummated there. You didn't give the money yet. I don't remember exactly. I'm saying somebody who says this can correct me. But because you made it hektish, if you don't pay it, so it's a sin, right? But the mitzvah is consummated right there when you make, when you pledge it. Although in my app, the rabbanim that signed on did stipulate that it is after you pay the pledge. I'll have to now that I'm talking it out with you, look into that.
So even I like the question. Doesn't go to the organization right away. Put it in the box. Eventually goes to the organization. So same idea, no? I'm saying.
So when is the mitzvah consummated?
It's when you put it there.
Not when you right. Okay, so if that's right, so that's the question, right? And if you don't give it in, then it's a sin.
Right.
Right. Okay. Anyways, the idea is like this. So what I did was I automated somebody's stock. So somebody says I want to give $10 a day to stock up. So I called my Rabbi Sholom, and we agreed on a prota. I'm saying a nickel is a prota. Some say less. It's like you can change that amount, a nickel. And basically, what I'll do is 200 times a day, our system is basically mining mitzvahs, right? And what's funny is people everybody's mining Bitcoin and bidding, everybody's mining stuff. I'm saying, what we shouldn't be mining mitzvahs, right? And there's technology that ever said that technology is there only for. Everything the Abishah created was to serve Hashem. And what more than technology? So here, we're using technology. So there was a lot of questions, whether or not. So a guy gives $1,000 a month to start up, his mitzvah, and he puts it through the app, and we do 20,000 mitzvahs for the guy a month. I have guys giving $5,000, I have guys that give him $10,000 a month on the app. I mean, we're doing 40 million mitzvahs a month, maybe more. So the point is that now, if this is, I'm saying, it's hard to believe it's real, right? Because if somebody told me I was making $40 million a month, right? Then we would, right? Everybody would be buying in, right? If I told you right now, right, I'm making 40 million a month, and all you need to do is this, and this, and this. The first thing you're doing, right, is you're going to, I'm saying, you're asking me when this podcast is over. I'm saying, how do I do that, right? Before exactly, this conversation is going to go. This is going to turn in from the Geulah river. You know what I'm saying? The roughly is the Gashmias, right?
Raise your hands.
Right, exactly.
Watching, raise your hand right now.
Exactly. So the bottom line is so I created that, and then whenever I would bring it to somebody, they would always tell me you got to get real rabbanim to sign on.
Signing on that when you move on to $1, it's each kilo at 20 nickels. That's
20 nickels, right? So
that's what you want.
So I have a whole.
It charges everything. The way the system is charged, it charges
separately. Each one has its own transaction. There's a 3-second interval. So like Shalom let Rav, I'm saying. So it's not like one on top of the other one. And I brought it to Rabbi Shapiro. Rabbi Lieberman, who's my Rav, sent me to Rabbi Shapiro, who didn't want to take it upon himself either. He didn't give me an eskama. He's very careful not to give me an eskama, and I'm careful to say here it's not an eskama. He gave me, it was a shaila and a tshuva. And he asked Rabbi Oberlander, who is a Rav on a Basin, in I think in Monsey, and they all signed on. And since then, we've called Rabbi Leshester, we called a rabbi in California as well. And I brought this. I have a friend of mine, is a friend, went to MT. He went to MDS with Man Day School with me. His name is Rabbi Ali Erman. He actually on Yeshiva University website, he has the most shurim in out of any of the rabbanim. I think he has like 9,000 shurim on the most diverse topics, and he gets into them like unbelievable Talmud Chacham. So I called him up. It's funny because I learned with him a few times, but even when I learned Lubavitch stuff, he knew every mimer, every single. I mean, and he knew all the stories. Like he was telling me Hasidic stories. Unbelievable. But anyway, so when I called him and I told him about the project, he found me Shaila Tshuva from Rabbi Kanievsky, who somebody asked him if I pledge money monthly. And I paid when I pay the pledge, am I getting one mitzvah for the pledge, or am I getting 12? Exactly. So he said, I have the tshuva. So he said that because you can stop it, you are getting a mitzvah every time.
Stop it like Catholic credit card.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing that he meant because maybe it was a monthly commitment. Exactly. So what I did is at that point I added a pause function on the app where you can, even in the middle of the day as it's going on. I didn't have that, extra, from a Rav. So I added that feature now where you can pause it. So here's the question. Here's the listen. There's many ways to bring Mashiach, right? I called the Rav. I'm not gonna mention his name, but it was a very sore subject with me. It's actually a funny story. So I'll say l'chaim. So I'm trying to get like Lubavitch or Rabbanim to buy in, right? I mean, what am I gonna get? Not. I mean, I wish I'll buy. I'm saying not Lubavitchers. I'm saying Lubavitch as well. And I'm sure they would. I just have to get it out there. But anyways, I call. I hear a pod. Saying something like on the web, and he basically was saying that what is Hashem doing all day? It says it's in the Gemara. I don't remember exactly. He was quoting a Tanya. He's quoting Tanya from saying, "What's Hashem busy with his all day? Hashem is doing stalka every second of the day, and he essentially sustaining us. I mean, he's my separation, whatever it is." So I got in touch with this Rav, and I said to him, "I'm saying if Hashem is doing stalka all day, shouldn't we be doing stalka all day? And here's a way to do it." His response was, by the way, so I'm not mentioning any names, but I hope he hears this. What a response! Like from a Talmud Chacham, I was like blown out of my mind. Like sometimes I'm driving, I'm like, what did he say? He tells me, he goes, listen, there's a lot of mitzvahs in the world, but we don't turn them all. Eating kugel on Shabbos is a mitzvah, but we don't turn it into a pa'ula. He says, and I'm thinking to myself, or Shluch HaKan. I'm like, how are we going to do? You want me to bus Bachrim to a farm and like figure out, saying, is this a mechor? Like, what am I going to do? You want me to like go find 35,000 nests? To like, and have kids start climbing up, grabbing an egg, putting it down, bringing the bird back. Like, how are you going to scale that? And on top of it, thank God he did tell me this. He said, but there is an Indian, that's stuck in the Geulah. I was like, thank God. Like at least there's that. It's like, what are you taught? Like I'm like, sometimes am I like, did I grow on the wrong side of the Lubavitch tree? Like, it's like, I thought the Rebbe said, like, get this done. And like, you're telling me Petko Rechem. I'm like,
you seen those It's more important to do those mitzvahs. Was like
No, it's like there's a lot of mitzvahs, but you don't hear me like there's no campaign. I don't know what the poster would look like, but I'm saying, how are we gonna? I'm saying, how are we gonna accomplish that? Here you have something that literally, if it's a mitzvah, like the problem is I'm not an intellectual, right? My wife's an intellectual, and when you're dealing with intellectuals, you're dealing with like the symptoms, right? We think in different terms. I heard a very interesting idea. I don't know if it's true, but I heard Bill Gates said if you want to get something done, hire the laziest guys you can find because they're going to get it done. They know how to get things done quickly and in the easiest way. I never said we have to be Mashiach. You want to listen? Believe me, I'm on not Totals. I'm on like Menatzchim and like I'm always hearing and they're great ideas. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to scale things. It's not easy to get people on board, and say, "Oh, we want to bring Mashiach. This is the way to do it." Here you have something that everybody's already doing. Everybody's giving stuff every day. Why can't saying and it's a way to do exponential. In other words, when were we ever able to do hundreds of millions of acts of mitzvahs? It wasn't possible before technology. Now I'm going to tell you something that I thought of. The question is not whether or not we should do it. The question is it incumbent upon us to do it? Are we obligated? Because if technology is there, so you could say, oh, okay, I'm going to choose to do the mitzvah or not choose to do the mitzvah. But if the technology is there and we can refine the world at a higher base, how are we not incumbent? Like, why? How are we not incumbent to do that? That's the question. The question is not whether you want to, join my thing. You don't want to join my thing. Go. The question is there's a way to save the neshamas. There's a way to bring Mashiach now. And do I want to do it? I don't want to. I don't know. I don't feel like we have that. That leeway. But it could just be me, and it's I'm personal. I'm subjective. I get it.
And who can choose which location they want to give to through this app? How does that work?
Nothing to do with where the money
Same
goes.
with us,
And
yeah.
the money wherever you want
I'm
to
saying,
send it.
how does it work? I'm saying, what's the?
It's simple. I'm saying here. It adds a cheshbon to your box. It says how much you owe. Here, I'll show you. It's simple. There's around 28,000 seconds in a day, and basically, if you divide that by 3 and divide that by dollars, it comes out to like I don't know, maybe like there's only a certain amount of dollars that you can do a day, and that we can run. So we have multiple automations. I'm saying we're just like figuring out to run as many businesses as we possibly can. Listen, Mashiach's going to come, and I'm either going to get a slap in the head or congratulations, right? One of those two things is going to happen. Why was I counting in this idea on bringing so many mitzvahs to the world? Like, who told me to do that? Or he's going to say, like, you thought of a way to bring 300 million mitzvahs, 257 million mitzvahs to the world. Shkayach.
Now, which other mitzvahs? If you get into also besides for sucker, what other mitzvahs are part of the platform?
So for organizations, they can set up any mitzvah they want. So what I do with my group is Moida'ani. I find that to be like a great way to start the day. They get that mitzvah in, and then they'll do like a Shema, and those two things, and then and stalker. So like I tell people, listen, do 3 mitzvahs a day. I mean, you could also give a shear. I mean, there's a video there and a shear. I mean, there's a million, but every moisid, every organization can choose if you want for the kids. They can do Mishnayos Bopeh. Obviously, none of our kids here have smartphones, right? So that's not what we're shooting for. But I'm saying if the kids had a phone, so you could have like a video. There's a video there, right? So you watch the video of the day, they click, watch the thing, you can ask them a question if you want. It's you can do any mitzvah you want and track it. And it shows you the other part, which is I find to be, again, this is just the way I see the world. The idea that the Baal Shem Tov would go to a house and he could make a bracha because he knew he needed to elevate that place is something which I find to be like I don't know. I connected to that idea. So again, I showed you before, but I'll show it to you again. Just because there's an idea of the map where wherever you do a mitzvah, here we have a map of the world. And here it's actually you can actually come out here to see my community. It posts the whole world. You can actually see
The whole
everywhere,
entire world. Wow.
the whole entire world, right? So we just got a mitzvah just recently in Hong Kong. Um, I don't know where that's India, but somewhere in Hong Kong, I know somebody just did a mitzvah in Hong Kong, and all around the world. And you could just see like as you zoom in closer, you can actually see even like I know we have in Tennessee, we have New York, and you can just see like as you get closer and closer, and you can actually see how it like where those mitzvahs were done, like to the block. So we're mamish elevating every single, just goes further and further, and you could like see like you'll hit a spot and just see like you see that right there.
Wow.
So that like that block was like basically elevated. But that I mean the idea that we believe that first of all every person should know, right, that they are like a fountain for godliness in the world, right? And that it's there, like they can bring a light to the world that nobody else can bring, right? Even if I bring stuck into a place and Hashem wants that person's Hashem to bring stuck to the place, Hashem's going to send them there. So for everybody to walk around with this mission, you know what I'm saying, that to light up the world, tikkun olam, sakin olam, machshava shakai, you know what I'm saying, that this is something that we need to focus on. And it's very empowering, I feel.
So you see a lot of guys are also like the tracking being what keeps them motivated? What's like is there like a limit, not a limit, but like what's is like a game or like a
So there is a way to gamble, like we're starting to work with C-teens now, and hopefully gamify it to a degree for them. As we get more schools involved, we have a lot of programming for schools and whatnot. I mean, it's a pretty robust platform. But each person does the mitzvahs. In other words, I would say 90% of people use it for tzedakah. So for the people that are using it for stock, it really is for them. So we have these stickers. I don't have any with me now. We have the NFC stickers. People, leave one in their car, leave one on their fridges, and they just come home and they just touch they touch the sticker with their phone, and it reminds them to do the mitzvah stock every day. I speak to a lot of my modern Orthodox friends, who give stock, a big stock on, but their wives are not giving stock up. And in other words, this is a mitzvah that women can do, simply. They go, they're driving in the car, just like, it's a simple mitzvah to there should be hopefully my wife's gonna start it, Noshim Tzidkaniya's, app, where it's encouraging women to give stock every day.
that's a cool problem is everything supposed to have a cycle shot on the wall. You put an NFT on the wall, is that like is that it's kavua on the wall? It's like a
So one of my videos that I have, I do a godly mission video. Maybe we can, I could show them, we can integrate it, into the podcast. But I have two videos right now. What's called the godly mission, and the godly mission video is showing like locations, where people are doing, explaining the concept of tikkun olam and that they do this mitzvah. So, wherever they are. And then I have another video that we put out. It's called turning your car into a charity box. Right. So the way it works is I'm like, I walk over to them like, hey, what are you doing? I'm turning my car into a charity box. How do you do that? Right. And you just see them like, by taking the sticker, putting it into their car. So I mean that's the whole Indian, right? In other words, that's you're saying the Indian of a pushka in a house. So listen, the Rebbe said to do it, so I'm not gonna, second guess as to what exact consummates that thing, that idea. But I would think that the idea is that when you affix something to the wall, you're connect that element to a mitzvah or to the facilitation of a mitzvah, and therefore engaging the whole house in that mitzvah, right? That's what you're turning the whole house into kosher. So I'm assuming that anything you do which encourages mitzvahs, right? That I mean, what mezuzah doesn't do that. The mezuzah turn the whole house into it does, but there's an Indian also of tzedakah. So I think that I think it does. But again, I'm happy that this is going on the podcast and that if there's anybody that has any advice on that, let me know.
The main thing seems like the main thing is just that's the calculated charges per the just $1 charges 20 times the amount. That's like the main over any other like
Yeah, in other words, yeah, no. So any the difference between, let's say, daily giving, right, and this is that would be the main difference, right? Where daily giving is, it's doing that one time a day. I'm trying to call daily giving. If they're listening to it, I'd love to work with you or any other stucco organization that's already doing it. I can integrate your platform into mine. You don't need to give me any of the names of the people. We can just, bring in a Rav and, figure out a very simple way to do it. I can give over my technology to you. I'm be thrilled if any of these go charity or raise a thon. It doesn't matter if we can work together, we could do billions, literally, I believe, hundreds of millions, if not, I'm doing hundreds of millions of mitzvahs. The number has to be in the billions. And again, we're so close to bringing Mashiach. Like, I'm not saying it's the only way to get it done. I know, like I already know what the naysayers are thinking. There's a lot of ways we need to, I get it. This is just one of the ways that it says that to bring Mashiach. So, but yeah, so one of the things in relation to daily, the daily giving is that's the difference, as well as daily giving. There's no physical movement. So when you use your hand to give the coin, right? When you touch something, so you're using your hand to do the mitzvah. There, it's the automation, right? Daily giving is automation, and my main mitzvah category is the automation as well. The multiplication of mitzvahs. Listen, I tell people all the time, even if you're going to give $1,000 a month to stock, give $950, in automation, because you're not going to sit there and start pushing the button every day. But leave, a certain piece of that to think about the Eibishter, I'm saying, throughout the day. You're going to make a phone call, give a coin to stock of this, stock.
But just more mice mitzvahs. Actual mice, same amount of money, just actual extra
exactly. So there's that, and then there's the tracking, and then there's also the other difference is that most of the apps that I've seen, right? In other words, I speak to a lot of these guys, with the apps, they're trying to raise money for the Meistais, right? And Meistais want to raise money. I get it. I'm in the teaching, I'm in the mitzvah business, which is a little bit difficult because nobody wants to hear about the mitzvah business. Not my donors and not the Meistais. Every now and then you find the right guy, but the idea is that so if you have to leave three numbers to give stock, so what are the three numbers you're going to leave? $1, $18, and $100, right? In other words, what are the quick choices, right? And I'm going to be 5 cents, 18 cents, right? I'm saying, because I want to encourage more acts. But listen, every however it's going to work. It's as long as
you can customize your own.
Sure, absolutely, and you can customize the tapping, and we customize stickers for everybody. My platform is what I believe to be open. It's called like open technology. In other words, I'm willing to integrate with anybody. I'm willing to white label for anybody. Whatever it will take to facilitate that the mitzvah can get done. So that's what I want to do.
And everyone uses their own mice. I'm saying
we have hundreds of mice races.
Same. Everyone can use your push cup on the app and goes to their same mice they would get anyway. It's not like it's
correct. So many. I'll show you this last. I'm saying it. You have over here you have communities. So you have Chabad of Oberlin. Well, This is Spanish Center. You have Bowery, Capital and Coin. You have Geulah Chabad this year. Different schools, Chabad Hamilton, Chabad Dania Beach, First Coast. You have, I know, Hong Kong signed up the other day. You have Austin, Texas, UBC. I don't even know. We have Germany. We were doing mitzvahs in Germany with the shliach there. We were doing a lot of mitzvahs. We had Rabbi Sholom in Kazakhstan. We had a pushka. A bunch of pushkas over there with the kids. It was unbelievable. I got to get them back on. But I guess the more and more publicity we have, and people seeing that we're mamish coming close, maybe that will inspire everybody to the Chatchila River just to go for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're so close. And the Geulah, it's like crazy.
That's crazy. How long did it take to start this whole app? It was like
It's
wild.
mamish. I mean, therapy. Like, when I'm going, it's so painful. It's so much money. I'm mamish almost $1 million into this project.
That?
Yeah. Literally embarrassed, but it is what it is.
Aside from it,
No, everything.
Yeah, the whole thing
Yeah, everything,
wow,
including the
it's
push
crazy,
goods.
it's
And I
crazy.
got money back from some stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like, but it was a big investment. And an app is, listen, Mark Zuckerberg said it. I heard him say this, that when he started Facebook, he had no idea what he was getting himself into. It's just not the way. It's not the way he works. You don't like think of something. I mean, maybe Elon Musk does, but in general, most regular people think of something small and it morphs into something bigger. So it wasn't like when I thought of the push code, this is going to do this and going to do that. It started over here and constantly, even till today. Again, like for C teams today, I had that discussion. So they want to sort by mitzvah, so that's a little more technology there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sense. They explode from all the transactions and
No, greatly appreciate this, and Bez Hashem, we should be zeichet to the Chatchila Riba to work, above our means, above our capacities, and to finish the job.
okay, I mean. If someone wants to reach you, how can they reach you? Like an email or website or
Yeah, Shalom, SHALOM at unitybox.org. And my number is 954-882-5514, or unitybox.org, or YJP And yeah, Bez Hashem, anybody that has a way to make it work, a way to do mitzvahs, an easier way, I'm happy to work with you and to get this done.
Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for listening to the Chatchila Ayura podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube and leave us a follow on Spotify. If you enjoyed this episode, please smash that like button and leave us a 5-star review.